I don't hear anything. And my volume is up on all my devices. Can you hear me? Yeah, I don't hear anything from you.
What about now?
Right now I hear you. Hi.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay.
We are ready.
Technology. So it does now, and now we know it doesn't work running through the mic in the camera. I have to do the mic through the actual laptop. So awesome. So great to have you here. And now that we can hear each other, you can hear me, we can hear you. Anyway, so welcome. This is Teresa from Fair Trade Long Beach, and I would like you to share with the audience a little bit about yourself and how Fair Trade Long Beach got started. She's actually right by my space. You can see the store behind her, but to her left and in front of her is the baskets and beads space. So love to hear how you got started and how you got started in fair trade.
So it's been a 15-year journey. I had an epiphany in my mid 40s about going back to school and thinking, am I making the world a better place? And I was going to Pasadena City College and I needed to get some service hours for one of the clubs that I was the president of. And that's when 10,000 Villages, one of the original fair trade stores, opened up a location in Pasadena and we could get service hours there. So I fell in love with 10,000 Villages and the mission. They're run by volunteers. And I have a little doggy visiting me today, so I'm waving at my doggy friend. But live interview. So anyway, so that started my fair trade journey. I got my associate's degree at Pasadena City College. I got accepted to Columbia University, went to New York City for a few years, worked for the Sisters of the Good Shepherd at Handcrafting Justice, got involved with the Fair Trade Federation, prayed my way back to California, back with 10,000 Villages. I was their event sales coordinator for all their church sales and college visits and speaking engagements. But then I knew that my husband was going to be retiring and looking for cheaper alternatives where there were enough golf courses for him to keep him busy, and his work where he had worked with tunnels and subways, they actually relocated their main offices from like Indiana here to Long Beach, right by the airport. So I just felt, let's start Fair Trade Long Beach. I had been part of New York Fair Trade Coalition, Alexandria, Virginia Fair Trade LA, Fair Trade Pasadena, Fair Trade Altadena. So Fair Trade Long Beach started as a Facebook page, and then we will talk about what grew from that.
And I met you right before. So the way I met Teresa, I was speaking at a Toastmasters event in January of 2019, and I asked. I had been involved in Kenya for a little less than a year, and I had asked people. I was asking people, trying to figure out what fair trade was, and to connect with somebody who was actually part of fair trade. I think Indigo is going to come up and be part of the interview.
Hi, Indigo.
She heard your voice. I think that's why she came over. And so I was speaking to this group in Toastmasters. I was doing a breakout session, and I asked, does anybody know anybody? I was looking for somebody to connect me to 10,000 Villages and fair. And I said about fair trade. And they said, oh, my neighbor, Teresa Baxter, you have to talk to her. And I said, okay. And she connected us. And then you invited me to the thing at Harbor City, the Kaiser Permanente at Harbor City, the vendor set up there. And that's kind of how we got started. And that's right before you started Fair Trade Long Beach.
Yeah, it just seemed like a natural progression on our grassroots starts where we kind of had what I was calling a caravan of hope. So several of us that might have been part of Fair Trade LA, but are located in proximity closer to Long Beach, whether it be Tribu, Ecuador, that are based in Torrance, several Fair Trade LA members wanted to do these farmers markets that we did. A lot of us did the one down at Alamitos Bay, down in beautiful Long Beach at 2nd and PCH. So I called us a caravan of hope, and we would organize church sales and other events also with the Long Beach Human Trafficking Task Force. So from the inception for it's almost going to be 5 years ago, because when we talk about the retail collective, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary being here. So I feel that I started Fair Trade Long Beach a year before that. But yeah, we naturally progressed into forming a cohesive group through what I called this caravan of hope for church sales, farmers markets, and just wonderful events that created the basis of what eventually segued into most of us jumping on board when this store became available for starting our retail collective here at Carson and Bellflower in a beautiful shopping village called Parkview Village Shops.
And I remember being in Kenya, texting you saying, I want a spot. So share a little bit about, I know we are coming up on that anniversary and why you picked that day to start Fair Trade Long Beach and how it's kind of grown from there.
Yeah, the coincidence of the timing and the synchronicity is when I looked at my Facebook memories this morning, today was the actual anniversary of our soft opening. So I was very intentional with picking the day of our grand opening because I'm so fanatical about fair trade as a global issue that elevates populations to the better lives that they're entitled to in the short time that we're here on Earth. So we commemorate World Fair Trade Day every year on the second Saturday of May. So that has been a constant for who knows how long. World Fair Trade Day is always the second Saturday of May. So I intentionally had that as our grand opening. So our anniversary will always fall on the second Saturday of the month on World Fair Trade Day. And it's always a great excuse to have a great big party and honor the people that we're working with in different parts of the world. And you know, Aldana, that every month we do second Saturdays here. So to have our anniversary on a second Saturday for an outdoor street block festival party sounds like a great time to me.
Yeah, definitely. Time to party and have fun and just enjoy everything. And I have a question, and Vanessa's got a couple of questions, but didn't Fair Trade Long Beach just win an award for the second year in a row?
Wow, yeah, I'm so honored that we get voted every year in these different contests. And actually, 2 years in a row, we've won the Long Beach Living magazine has the most comprehensive awards ceremony. They've been doing it longer than anybody else here. And it's a big deal, and it's always followed by a big, big party. COVID shut it down a couple of times, but we got into their election cycle last year for best retail store. And so it's intensive voting where people, they say they've tallied the votes this year, and out of all the different categories, there were over 200,000 votes cast. So that's quite a milestone. So last year, you were with us when we went to the awards ceremony at Long Beach City College. It's always a big party with performances, and it's just a magical evening, and all the best of the foodies are there too, serving samples of their food. So this year it was actually at the Museum of Latin American Art on Friday. So I got my tickets and I went and partied, and sure enough, we did win for best retail this year too, 2 years in a row.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome.
So I definitely have a few questions that I think you're definitely one person that is qualified, I think, to answer these questions, Teresa. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and I think it's important for our audience to know and to be versed in this, is that why is fair trade important? can you explain to our viewers and those that will be watching later on, explain to them the importance of fair trade?
There's so many principles to fair trade that you have to be aware of to know what the mission is. And one of the causes that are near and dear to my heart is the empowerment of getting children out of child labor in various parts of the world. It's just been exposed by the New York Times that it's happening right here in the United States again. And there are states actually wanting to deregulate child labor laws. And that's just heartbreaking. You know, you can't go back to the industrialized era where 2-year-olds were working down in coal mines. This is horrible. So the thing that I most adhere to with fair trade principles is the empowerment of people out of capitalistic business models that exploit people and make their lives miserable. So some of the regulations from fair trade are no child labor, you know, kids get to go to school and have a happy life. One example I would give is divine chocolate, that chocolate was the issue that most made me the most emotional of Ghana, Hershey's, Nestle's, Mars, still using child labor, 8, 10, 12-year-olds, sometimes sold by their families thinking they're buying them a better life, sometimes just sold into slavery out of Burkina Faso to these cocoa plantations in Ghana, still going on now more than ever. I've protested for decades against Hershey's. They lie to me. They tell us that they'll be fair trade by 2010, by 2017. And with COVID, I suspect that I think at one point there were 1.7 million child laborers in the chocolate industry, but I believe it's gone up to 2.2 million. And as I said, that the New York Times just exposed that here in the United States, 12-year-old Guatemala girl working in dangerous factory positions, and they exploit these migrant workers because they have so much of their family's hopes and dreams on their shoulders that it just makes a horrible life for them to have this pressure on them. And I think when the New York Times, this was like 2 weeks ago, if you Google New York Times child labor, it was like Nature's Valley granola bars. I mean, all these big names, all these auto manufacturers, and they're just pretending like they don't see these obviously kids. I don't care if they have fake IDs. 14 looks 14, 12 looks 12 years old. And I know they quoted the Guatemalan girl who, you know, was saying that, you know, she needs to take care of her grandmother back in Guatemala. She has sisters to feed. So she's working like 14-hour days, but then she's making herself get up early in the morning and go to school just because she wants a better life. But she's like, what do you mean child labor laws? We don't have child labor laws in Guatemala. So if I'm touching on the issues that most resonate with me in fair trade, no mass manufactured products made by women working in factories who can't even be home when the kids come home from school. You know, it just, if you elevate people into positions where they're paid for having a happy life, I've done my job, and Eldana, you've done your job in creating awareness on making sure that we live the lives that we deserve here and not underneath the capitalistic rule of profit over people. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's important for the viewers to understand and know, and why we push it so hard, and you know, and understanding that, which actually leads me to my next question. It kind of ties into the first one that I asked you, but maybe you can expound a little bit more on that. And that is, why should someone buy fair trade versus something that's mass produced? You know, what are your thoughts on that? Why should someone buy from fair trade? And for instance, are there key things that immediately, like if you would say, like, if you're going to buy fair trade, by all means, you should start here?
Yeah, so I've been with fair trade for about 15 years, and I've seen how it has become more mainstream. When I started with fair trade, we were so brainwashed because I was at the 10,000 Villages store. And, you know, we hear about NAFTA and these trade agreements, and we think, oh, this is a great thing that we're doing. You know, we're exporting our rice to Haiti, but their farmers are like starving because the North American Free Trade Act. So we couldn't even brainwash people out of the lexicon. Like, they'd come in the store and they'd say, you know, they bring students to learn about fair trade and what's good about it. it, but we were so brainwashed. We would say, this is all free trade. And it's like, no, no, no. Free trade isn't a good thing at all. So I had written papers about NAFTA and the Zapatistas down in Chiapas, Mexico, when Bill Clinton signed that NAFTA into act where all these factory jobs left the United States and went down to Mexico and went to Haiti and did all kinds of like poisoning of the rivers and hurting the. I believe if you watch the documentary Maquilapolis, it shows how the women that were working at the factories at the Mexican border, the chemicals in their water systems were making them have babies that were born without brains. And when they organized, against that, the factories just like moved to Indonesia. So I know about the fair trade brand and how far it's come since then and the exposure to these practices. So simple steps is knowing that there's so many organizations on board now that are really progressively pursuing fair trade, that it's more accessible, where it might have been like I had to find like a 10,000 villages store to find fair trade, but now like the CEO of Ralph's and Kroger's groceries, he has committed to having a certain percentage of fair trade in his stores. And I have, spoken at events showing labels of what is fair trade. And I'm happy to see that people will grab like a bottle of coconut water and see the fair trade label. And they're like, I've been drinking this for years. So you might be, shopping fair trade without even realizing it. And I have the Cal State students here that do service hours, and I have them do these activities like go to CVS and find like 5 fair trade products there. Just knowing to tell people that every single pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream has that fair trade label on it. And Target has had so many leaps and bounds with ethical relationships with fair trade certified factories. You can get fair trade certified jeans at Target. So, I get up on my soapbox and scream about that because people used to think that fair trade was more expensive. And now people know, well, you need to pay what the artisan is worth, what the craft is worth, the beadwork that goes into Aldana's product. Oh my goodness. I mean, you just can't sell this for like at the dollar store. You got to sell it for $30, $40, $50. But the collective model here, when you look at our Yelp reviews, because we're essentially sharing all the overhead here, and people have said, oh, that's the best fair trade prices I've seen anywhere at that store. And so we brag about that because we're not here to get rich. We're here to help our people that we work with to have better lives. And here's one thing about that fair trade label, having to look for the Fair Trade Federation label or Fair Trade America, Fair Trade USA, World Fair Trade Certified. It's worth looking for those labels. But one thing that was brought up in one of our we have these Fair Trade Federation conferences at different places around the world. And coincidentally, we can talk about it being here in Long Beach, the first in-person conference since COVID. The last one was in Austin 4 years ago. I'd been to the one in Denver before that. I'd been to the Milwaukee one. So, but I think I brought it up, but I think it's a meme that we would want to spread around when we say about the fair trade label. And it says, wouldn't it be more logical to label the unfair products? Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Boy, wouldn't that make sense?
Yes.
Doesn't it? This product has child labor and it poisons the waters and can cause death.
I would like when we were at the Fair Trade Federation conference, and something that I mentioned about people can only take in so many chunks of information, 7 plus or minus chunks of information at a time. And they have to keep hearing it over and over again, I think, to bring it into their purview. I always shop the fair trade chocolate at Fair Trade Long Beach. I'm almost out, so I'll be shopping again soon. But the fact that people, you see them still getting the chocolate and it's out there, but they're just not paying attention to it. So I think the fact that we're talking about it and more people are talking about it to get it out there. So maybe somebody can just make a change and decide, I'm not going to buy that chocolate. I'm going to buy this chocolate.
Right.
Yeah, it's persuasive. And it's the first lesson I give when I get the Cal State University students here for their service hours. I'm like, we're going to deep dive into this because you probably don't know this is happening. So many people aren't even aware. And I guess you just have to do it like one person at a time to make a difference. So, me going back to college in my 40s and 50s and being in New York City and learning that Hershey's does have child labor back in, this must have been in 2011 or so. So it's been part of like anything that I present about. So if I had speech presentations on speeches to persuade, I would do presentations on like, here's your little Hershey's mini and here's your divine chocolate mini. And then I take them through all these horrible atrocities of human rights violations and kids like, 10, 8 years old operating machetes. They'd never tasted chocolate in their life. And so, then when I say that now because I was just interviewed by Swap Society, which we talked about chocolate also. And it's just an emotional thing for me because I said that most people don't know that there's child labor or child slavery. So I said a profound quote that she quoted me on her Instagram. And I said that chocolate shouldn't taste like child tears. It's like, Hershey's, Mars, Nestle's, they're using child labor. No excuse, no logic, no reasoning other than the bottom line of their shareholders showing a profit. And I said, just because your governments have told you that slavery has been abolished, it's not. It's rampant. It's in sex trafficking. It's in the fishing industry. It's in child labor. So how do we get this word out to the people without being a Debbie Downer? So I do tell the students from Cal State, because they're supposed to learn transparency and supply chains because they are in an international hospitality program. I do tell them, like, if you're working at a resort in Jamaica and it's like 10 in the morning and there's an 8-year-old boy carrying people's suitcases, he's being exploited. He should be in school. So I do a deep dive with the students, but then I say, then I want to bring us to more of a utopian capitalism dream for me. I want to show you solutions on how we can make changes that have been set in place for generations upon generations, and how we can care. And I do feel this next generation, I honestly feel this next generation is so more hyper aware than mine. I was talking to students today and I'm like, my generation, I'm going to overgeneralize. I'm a child of the 70s and the TV was our babysitter and the TV sold everything to us. So I had to have hot dogs and I don't even know what they're made out of or what kinds of dyes or anything are in there. I had to have that cereal. So now I think we're coming up with a healthier generation that are more aware to not, fall for fast fashion and to care about the planet and to thrift shop too.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think all of us at Fair Trade Long Beach have pulled together to do our part for our little corner of the world. Before we wrap this up, share a little bit about how many partners we have there, what kind of products are there, where we're located, when you're open, so anybody listening that's local can come and check it out
and experience the space there.
Yeah, so I don't know, is it making sense that if I turn my camera around and do a little walkthrough from the entrance?
Yeah, do that. I was just going to suggest
that might give you like I could show it walking in. So right now I'm going to walk outside so you can see our sign. And then I'm just going to flip my phone. Right? If I go like that, you're going to be able to see me in the mirror there, right? Yeah. That's at the entrance. So let's do this. So that's our sign, Fair Trade Long Beach. And then this is, hey, friends. Aww. See all of our awards there. So we have 20 partners, give or take. It always is around 20 partners. And each one has basically a 5x5 spot. And it's representing multiple places in the world. Mainly, most of us have a certain section that is entirely like Ecuador or entirely Kenya. But Jennings and Allen, he's really involved with the World Fair Trade Organization. So you will see most of the products are from Haiti, but he's bringing in these beautiful little ornaments made by women, Afghan refugees from living in Pakistan at the Turquoise Mountains. This is a new product that he brought in. And look at this, is the United Nations, the World Fair Trade Organization. So then Tribu Ecuador, This is my bestseller right here. I love these aprons from Bangladesh. This is our group section here, merchandise for the current color palette that's pretty popular. But yeah, take a look around. We have India. We do Planet Love and brushes. And I didn't realize that there was a group called Fair Trade Australia. And this is coconut fiber that works with artisans in Sri Lanka. We have a new partner here. I love the Tote Project. I've known her for about 10 years when I was with Fair Trade LA. She graduated from Azusa Pacific Christian University, and she's always had it in her mission to get women out of sex trafficking in India. Her product is very well designed and of high quality. Laurel is the current new manager of 10,000 Villages in Pasadena, and she has the best of fair trade here too. We have some wellness products. We work with local mandala art. This is your beautiful section of fashion. People love to thumb through here. I had a young man here today looking at the tunics. This is Cambodia. Soko is our soap artist. This is our hippie store right here.
Cute.
Everything's good vibes. Malia Designs, I've known them for about 10, 12 years from Fair Trade Federation conferences. They work with women in Cambodia that get to work from home. There's a big deal in Cambodia with street children, delinquency. But if mom's home when they come home from school, that's just the way family units should be. Frida is our full-time college volunteer here, so she gets a complimentary space. Our joy are the Compton students, the 12-year-olds that have to have a B+ average to be in the store. They make their soaps. They just stocked all their jewelry. Kendall, part of Fair Trade LA, Rwanda. Eldana has the socks that give back. I sold 5 pair of those yesterday, I think, for Easter gifts. Who would have thought that? And then Eldana's favorite section here, our chocolate. Yeah. And Eldana, she's got an expanded space. So when most people start with 5x5 spots, but Eldana has created her own store within a store. And this is also her store right here. And we'll end at that right now. And I'll just say, here I am again.
There we go.
Awesome.
Thank you for the tour.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to come and visit, what's the address and what are the hours?
Okay, let's get rid of this glare. So 4105 North Bellflower Boulevard, and that is in Long Beach, California. Our zip code is 90808, and it's at the Parkview Village Shops, which is located at Carson and Bellflower by Hartwell Park, where I say we are in the heart of Long Beach. And our hours are Tuesday through Sunday, Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 7, Sunday, 11 to 4. And since I'm the full-time volunteer, I give myself Mondays off. And then sometimes we do have some of our partners might cover for a few hours here and there. Not since COVID though, but we'll get that going again where there can be a reliable schedule to meet and greet with the customers here, maybe on a Saturday. Eldana does great with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
And appreciate your sharing. Do you have any last parting words?
I'm trying to think, like, do I have a favorite quote or anything like that? But yeah, we were just at the Fair Trade Federation and I gave a presentation. And when I talk about our collective, I think the way that I captured it back then in the presentation, I like, because my name is Teresa, using Mother Teresa quotes. And the one that came up for our collective, that how it all came to be and where we are now, is a Mother Teresa quote. This is, I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together we can do great things. And that's what we're doing.
That's beautiful,
Awesome.
Teresa. Absolutely
Awesome.
beautiful. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, I will see you soon. Thanks for being on BnB Live.
The first interview, Teresa.
Yeah.
Yay. And I'll see you at your grand opening. That is on Sunday. Is that on April 16th?
April 16th. Yeah. So for anybody who's listening, that's just a reminder. Thank you for that. That our grand opening is April 16th from 2 to 6. You can stop by anytime, 2265 South Ritchie in Santa Ana.
Yes.
There is there's posts all over. There's an Eventbrite link you can click on. There's an event on Facebook, and you could just register. It'd be great if you registered so we knew for sure how many were coming.
Count. Yeah, a little bit of a head count
So
there.
I'd appreciate you registering. If you go down the page, it's on the page, it's on the profile, it's in the group. If you're listening on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can send me a direct message. I think I have shared it on LinkedIn, but it's probably not as easy to find. So if you're not on Facebook, you can find it easily on Facebook. Also, if you go to Instagram, if you go to Linktree/Eldana, link.tree or whatever it is, you can find the registration page there. So we'd love to see you and come and hang out and check out the space. This is where we're broadcasting from. So you'll get to see the little studio we have, our showroom and our warehouse, and celebrate the grand opening.
All right, Teresa, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a moment. We appreciate you and all that you're doing. Okay.
Okay. See you.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a good one. See you soon.